Good morning. Trump on the edge of impeachment. It's Friday at the end of a tumultuous week, and here's our financial breakdown. U.S. indices bounced back from Wednesday's turmoil, the Nasdaq adding 2.5% at closing. Ahead of today's non-farm payrolls, the dollar has so far added a 0.13% since this morning, after yesterday saw a 100K improvement in continuous jobless claims and a 3K improvement in initial claims. The nation's trade deficit, however, grew, and it's now at $68 billion for November. Earnings, payrolls, participation and unemployment will be in at 1:30 p.m. GMT, alongside Canada's data for December. That nation's trade deficit fell in October to $3.34 billion for $3.37 in October. At the moment, we can see that the US-Canadian dollar has broken above the moving average, so we should pay attention if it now crosses the pivot at 127.60 to see if that becomes a trend. European indices yesterday added between 0.1% for the FTSE and 0.7% for the CAC 40 in Paris. The Swiss franc is down a tad after this morning's report, in a two-tick deterioration of the nation's non-seasonally adjusted employment rate, 3.5% for December. The euro is sore this morning after France reported a 19% contraction in consumer spending month-on-month, but a €1 billion improvement in its trade deficit, now 3.6 billion euros. Earlier, Germany reported a €2 billion drop in its trade surplus to 16.4 billion. And yesterday saw marked improvements in consumer, business, and industrial sentiment markers, but a slight deterioration in services alongside a 0.3% contraction in consumer inflation. At the moment, we're looking at an asset that's almost running an Elliott wave, so with hardly any European data on the horizon, support at 121.86 is the number to look out for. All Chinese indices closed in the red this morning, led by the A50's 1% loss. The Hang Seng added 1.5%, and the Nikkei regrouped with 2.36. The yen lost some ground after overnight Japan reported a 1.8% drop in household spending month-on-month. At the moment, the dollar-yen pair is gaining on dollar strength. We've passed our first resistance level, and now we're targeting 104.28. Gold seems to have hit a hitch after peaking Wednesday at 1960. At present, it's bouncing off of support at 1908, while Bitcoin touched the 40K point last night as it continues skyrocketing above the terms of practicality. And oil continues placidly up this morning as COVID vaccinations inject some optimism into oil consumption. At 6 tonight, the Baker Hughes oil rig count as that hammer up top threatens somewhat, and we struggle to top that 51.30 resistance level. In corporate news, Boeing has settled on its fines and compensation bill for the 737 MAX fiasco with the U.S. Department of Justice, $2.5 billion of which $500 million goes to crash victim funds. The deal lets the company avoid further prosecution for fraud and other charges. 346 people died in 2 crashes last year before the entire fleet was grounded. Also, Tesla yesterday topped Facebook in market value after shares added about 8%. At $774 billion, they're still behind Google. That's it for this week. Join us again Monday for a full set of daily breakdowns.